We're in chapter 11, verse 1, and we're going to start with the portion, chapter 11, verse 1, Parashat Bo. This is the beautiful parsha, talks about the culmination of the Exodus story. Vayomer Hashem al Moshe, and God says to Moshe, O nege achad avi al Paro, there's one more affliction that I will bring on Pharaoh and on Egypt. And and afterwards, I will send you from here. So he said, there's one more plague, and I will bring on Pharaoh and Egypt, and afterwards he will send you forth from this. And when he sends you, it will be entirely. He will expel you from here. Let's see what Rashi says. Kala, entirely. He will completely expel you. Pharaoh will completely drive you out. The second verse. You have the page, Steve? Steve, you have the place?
338.
I don't know. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay. It says, Dar Bayarna Am. Speak now into the ears of the people. Each man should ask from his friend. Each woman should ask for her friend. Go, before you go, everybody should go to their Egyptian friends and ask for their gold and their silver. Meaning to say, you're going to go, you're going to ask for money from your Egyptians, and they're going to give it to you. You're not escaping like on the Underground Railroad. You're going to them and asking them for money, and they're going to give it to you. You see, they had Egyptian friends, by the way. Rashi says, "Ein na el lashon bakasha." The word "na" is an expression of request. Bevakasha mimcha, I request from you, Moshe. Hisiram al kach. Direct them about this, asking them for precious vessels. Shelo yomar oso tzadik Avraham, so that the righteous man Abraham should not say, "Va'avadum v'inuotam." He fulfilled in them the decree that he shall make you, that he enslaved them, that he fulfilled. But he didn't fulfill the promise that you'll go out with tremendous wealth. That Hashem had promised Abram, I will enslave you, and you'll also go out with tremendous wealth. Well, I'm seeing Shepsel, Thera, I see on the screen. I guess she couldn't make it, but we're happy to see you. And we are happy to see Thera on the screen as well. So you have to go get the money because Hashem had promised that when they leave, they'll be enslaved, but when they leave, they'll leave with tremendous wealth. So therefore, I request of you, Moshe, that you do me this favor and go and do it because otherwise I won't be able to fulfill the promise that I made to Abraham. That's what God's saying. Bevakasha mimcha, I make this request from you. Now we go up to the next verse. Yes.
Is this compensation for the mortgage?
Hold on one second. So their Gemara does reflect that conversation. The Gemara says that an Egyptian came to them and said to them, give us back the money and the gold that you took from us before you left. And they said, no problem. Just give us the wages for all those years. It's obviously not a complete compensation. You can't be compensated. But I guess they were compensated a little bit. The Talmud has that conversation. So Vayitain Hashem et chen ha'am b'nei Mitzrayim. God put the favor of the people into the eyes of Egypt. Gama Ish Moshe Gadol Ma'od Be'eretz Mitzrayim. And the man Moses was very great in the land of Egypt. Beinei Avdei Paro Beinei Am. In the eyes of the servants of Paro, in the eyes of the people. This is a verse straight out, and it's similar to the book of Esther. And Mordechai found favor in the eyes of the people. So Rashi says, and Moses said, Ko Amar Vayomer Moshe, the next pasuk. Ko Amar Hashem. Thus God says, Kachatzos halayla ani yotzei b'toch Mitzrayim. Around Kachatzot halayla, like when it is midnight, I will go out in the middle of Egypt. What does it mean, like when it's midnight? What do you mean around midnight? Rashi says, Ba'amdo lefnei Paro nemro lo nevuah zu. That this prophecy, Moshe said when he spoke to Paro directly. Because he said this previously, because it says earlier in the verse, we read it last week's portion, God says, you're no longer going to see my face. In the beginning of Parshas Bo, Moshe said, I'm going to leave you in power and I'm not going to see your face anymore. So then how is he saying this? So Rashi says he had stated this earlier. Why does it say at midnight? So this is a very, very beautiful Rashi. The night is divided into 2 points. Kachatzot, like midnight, kemo ba'alot. Bacharut apam banu. Meaning to say, in the portion, meaning to say that there's 2 parts to the night, and when we get to the second part, when we come to the division, that's when God is going to go out on the whole land. But now, Rabboseinu Darshu, Reb Jeff, we're on chapter 11, verse 4. Our rabbis expanded, Kemo kabachatzi alayla, at approximately midnight. Moshe is saying, not at midnight, at approximately midnight. Why saying approximately? God say around this time? Why doesn't God say the exact time? Well, they must have had time measures because they knew exactly how long an hour is because they had the hourglasses. So why does he say around this time? So, what? Right. So, but it's not because God wasn't exact, but because the Egyptian clocks were not exact. Because they said, it means either a little before or a little after. It doesn't say bachatzos, at midnight. Shema yitu at stagnine paro, lest the astrologers make a mistake. And then they'll claim that Moshe was wrong. Moshe badayo. They'll say Moshe is a liar. But God, of course, knows exactly the time. God, of course, he knows exactly when it's midnight. Okay. Verse 5. Umeis kol bechor be'eretz Mitzrayim, mi bechor paro hayoshev al kisi, ad bechor hashevcha asher achar rechayim, bechol bechor behema. And then the firstborn of every firstborn in the land of Egypt will die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sits on his throne, ad bechor hashevcha, until the firstborn of the maid, asher achar rechayim, bechol bechor behema. And then at midnight, there will be the death of every firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh, who sits on his throne, until the firstborn of the maid, who's behind the millstone. What does that mean, behind the millstone? V'chol b'chor behema, and every firstborn animal. What do you mean behind the millstone? We'll see what Rashi says. First of all, Rashi says, ad b'chor hashvi, until the firstborn of the captive. Now, that doesn't appear here. This actually only appears later on. So why is that here? Hey, Kobe, please grab a chumash, Kobe, before coming here. You see where the chumash is? To the left, 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 left. Stop! To the right. The red book right there. Okay, Kobe. I have a seat for you. You have a choice. You could sit there or there. There, okay. What page are we on, Steve?
338.
Kobe's arranging for me to speak in Northwood High School because there's anti-Semitism there. That's where he goes. And I'm going to give a lecture about anti-Semitism. And the teachers are trying to stop it, but Kobe's on top of it. He's not letting them get away with it. They're not, let's say they're not giving us the prominence that we want. Right, Kobe? They're not giving us the prominence we want.
It's a great book. It says, just hatred.
Yeah. There's a lot of great quotes. Yeah. What page are we on?
338.
338. Yeah. Oh, yeah, but I don't think I'm going to speak on Monday. No. He's going to go to school on Tuesday and ask them again. Well, we're going to get this done. They wanted to put us in like a side room, and we demanded the main auditorium. So this is a major issue. We're not going to be pushed to the side. Okay, so what? Yeah. So Lama Laku Ashvuyim, why were the captives struck down? Why did they kill the firstborn captives? They weren't the ones who enslaved the Jewish people. Kadei Shelo Yomru Yiratam Tava Elbonam. Neviim Peranios Al Mitzrayim. Because we want to make sure, we don't want them to say that the Egyptians, God is the one that punished the Egyptians. And so therefore, they killed all the firstborn there, even the ones who clearly had not done anything wrong. Ad Bechor, from the firstborn of Pharaoh to the firstborn of the Shifcha. Koa Pechutim Mi Bechor, yes, Rabbi Yosef.
I just wanted to suggest, I don't think I ever saw this anywhere, but we always know that there's a hierarchy in jail. So, like if a Hebrew was in jail, he would have been even lower than a Canaanite or an Edomite or whatever. So the way that they treat them, right? Like, or
Rashi's about to say that. Let's see what Rashi says. Rashi's about to say that. Look what Rashi. From the firstborn of Pharaoh to the firstborn of the slave woman. All those of lesser stature than the firstborn of Pharaoh and greater than the firstborn of the slave woman, were included in this warning. Why were the firstborns of the maids struck down? They were rejoicing in the distress of the Jewish people. They were enslaving them and also rejoicing. So just rejoicing. Now, why were the firstborn animals killed? Why were the firstborn animals killed? Because the Egyptians worshipped it. When God takes punishment of the nations of the world, he takes punishment from their gods. Takes punishments from their gods. So that's why the firstborn of the animals were killed, because the Egyptians were worshiping their firstborn animals. Now, it doesn't mean they worshipped all the animals. They worshipped all the domesticated animals. I guess the ox, the sheep, the goats. Those are the only 3 animals you could have. They didn't have any other animals. I guess they had horses. I don't think they worshipped the horses, but I don't know. It says here, Rashi, why they worshipped it. They worshipped the firstborn of the animal. There's this beautiful book here that Jeffrey donated in memory of David Schwartz. It's called The Light Beyond, Adventures in Hasidic Thought. And it was written by Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan, who died at the age of 39. Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan is one of my personal favorite writers. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I can read you the inscription to Rabbi Hertzfeld and Yeshiva Salimelech. This wonderful book, The Light Beyond, Adventures in Hasidic Thought by Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan, is given in memory of David Schwartz, Zichrono Livracha, who gave his life on January 8th, 2024 in defense of Israel and the Jewish people. And yes, Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan was just an unbelievable, incredible scholar, and it's just a beautiful summary of Hasidic thought on a lot of different topics. And what I'd like to do sometimes is to study it with everybody. Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan's son was my plumber in Brooklyn. Yeah, he was my plumber. Yeah, of course. Okay, so now. Yeah. Yeah. So the next verse is chapter 7, verse 1. And this is also a powerful verse. I'm going to stop this recording. Actually, I'll read the verse and I'll stop the recording to tell you something. We'll call B'nai Yisrael, V'yecharatz kelev l'shono. In all of Israel, no dog sharpened its tongue. Me'yishva be'ema, from man until animal. Mante du'ed asher yafla Hashem be'mitzrayim be'Yisrael. So, in order that everybody should know that Hashem will distinguish between Egypt and Israel. So no dog barked its tongue. Rashi says that this is an expression of Lashon Shinun, means sharpening. That is, no dog will utter a sharp cry. It means no dog is going to bark. When the children of Israel left Egypt, the dogs did not bark. So, and because of that, because they did not bark, that's why Rashi says elsewhere that's why the dogs merited to get the carcasses. It says if you slaughter an animal and the animal is not kosher, you're not allowed to eat it. You have to throw it to the dog. So the dog is the only one who is told to throw it to. Why not throw it to? A cow doesn't eat meat, or a cat, or why not throw it to a I don't know, another what? Yeah, it says to throw it to a dog. And the reason is because the dogs did this action that they obeyed, they respected God. When the children of Israel were leaving, they didn't bark. So this past week, hold on, I'll just pause the recording for a second. I don't like to put this. Okay, so now the verse tells us, the Yardu Kol Avadecha, chapter 11, verse 8, and all your servants will, the Yardu Kol Avadecha Eli Eli, all these servants, your slaves, will come down to me, Vishtachavuli Lilemor, they will bow down to me, saying, Stay at Tavakol Ama Shebaraglecha, that all the people who are at your feet go out. So Moshe says to Paro, before we go, you're going to be begging us to go. And then Moshe left Pharaoh in a huff, in anger, a righteous anger. Verse says, Chalak kavodu malchus. He says, all your slaves will come down. He didn't say Pharaoh himself would, because he gave honor to the kingdom. Sorry, Besof Yorad Paro Ba'atzmo Elav B'layla. In the end, Paro himself came down. And Moshe, and this is the theme Rashi says earlier, Moshe didn't talk disrespectfully to Paro. Even at this moment, he granted Paro respect. Why? Because it's a basic idea that why is it so important for Moshe to speak respectfully to Pharaoh? I think it's because when you speak disrespectfully to a Pharaoh, to a king, you're not just denigrating the Pharaoh. When you speak like in a disrespectful manner, you're really denigrating yourself. And so therefore he didn't want to speak like a gangster, spoke with respect. Okay, and then it says the servants who are at your feet, those who follow your advice and your way. And afterwards, I'll go out with all your people from your land. And he left Paro. He left Paro with anger. He left with anger. Okay, let's stop the study here. We studied today in memory of Reuben Silverman and Neshama and Aliyah. We thank Steve and Sharon for their support. God willing, we'll study a lot of Torah in the coming years. Yes, you had a question, Rabbi Yosef.
Just